because we are going to go out to Texas. We've got Reverend Van Kush, him, wants to talk about Hinduism a little bit, it sounds like. Well, hey, Rev, we are, I'm Secular Rarity, that's Godless Engineer. What you got for us?
All right, so I know y'all want to talk about like Yahweh and everything existing, but so I want to talk about like what the atheists kind of call little g gods.
Okay.
And so first, I would say there are these things called egregori, all right? And usually when these are talked about, they're talked about mostly the invisible ones, but I'll start with the ones we can see just so that everybody can kind of grasp this.
Okay.
There are stuff like the sun and the planets, right? And we can all see them, and they're there whether or not we're there. And they exist outside of us, but there are egregori that exist between us, all right? Another word for egregori is poltergeists, all right? And then so these things exist.
So just hang on real quick, Rev. Hang on real quick. I'm not trying to push back. I'm not trying to shit on anything. Just trying to understand, just some clarity, okay? Are you saying that the sun and the moon and like Mars, like are those egregori, if I'm saying that right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, that's why the ancient religions would personify them and everything, is because of their qualities.
Okay. What are the characteristics of egregori? Because I would say between the sun and the moon and Mars alone, I don't know that all three of those things exactly fit into the same category, right? There's a huge difference between what's going on with the moon and what's going on with the sun.
The egregori part of it is the non-physical part of it, the thing that we can't see. That is part of it. So the sun, for example, we can't see. Even light is almost one of the things we can't see, and it's a titan in Greek mythology and other mythologies. The light is a titan, right? So that itself is an example of something that we almost can't see. And then
I'm confused. I'm confused, and I'm not. Again, I'm genuinely just trying to make sure that I'm following the trail of breadcrumbs that you're leaving for me here. But currently, I have no fucking idea where I'm going in the forest. Okay, so help me out just a little bit. Which is, hang on just a second. I'm gonna try and direct it a little, because without some of these things being answered, I don't feel like GE and I are ever gonna be able to follow you on this journey very far. But
okay.
when you say like there's some things going on with the sun, for instance, that are non-physical, like what's happening that's non-physical? I have no idea what that means.
Well, I mean, so like how light comes to Earth, and then like we have plants growing, we have all this stuff going on because of non-physical things that are happening.
Well, like
no, all those things are physical.
Yeah, photosynthesis is like really physical. It's like extremely physical. You know, like the rain cycle is like really physical, man. So like
happening because of the non-physical.
Like, no, what's non-physical about it, though?
Yeah.
So the electromagnetic spectrum, hold on. So the electromagnetic spectrum is a very physical thing. How photons are emitted from the sun is a very physical process of fission that happens at the center of stars. There's an intense heat and pressure that causes atoms to fission together, creating heavier elements and everything like that. That's how you get heavier elements. That particular process right there causes photons and energy to be emitted. That's then emitted from the sun, going to the surface of the Earth, where then in the particular example you gave, like it interacts with plant life on Earth, which stimulates, the biological nature of plants, and through various very physical chemical processes and physical structures in the plant, it turns that electromagnetic radiation, which we call light, into energy. And so this entire energy transformation coming from the sun, going all the way to the Earth, to the plants, it is a completely physical process. So what part of that process?
So if we can get into that being physical, could we get into that words are physical?
I'm sorry, what?
When you say something. when you say something and it vibrates from my ear to your ear, or my mouth to your mouth to my ear, are we now saying that is a physical process?
It sounds like you're trying to talk about like thoughts and concepts and things. Yeah. So there's a lot of different discussion on this. There's a lot of different people in, very high academic philosophical circles that have talked about this shit for a really long time. I am not that person. I am not that intelligent, Rev. Don't check me on all of this. Go look into shit like that. Like Patricia Churchland, for instance, is somebody that I have looked into and have enjoyed some of her stuff in the past. She's talked about like memory and like where that is in the brain. And memory is another one of those things that seems to fit into this space of non-material, right? Just like thoughts, right? Just like concepts, memories seem to all fit into that same kind of space. But as we are studying more and more about the science of the brain, about how we are able to actually do things with the squishy substance up here in our head, we're coming to find out there is more and more physical correlation between those, right? So you might be familiar with like the corpus callosum, the split brain experiments from the past. You may have heard about some dude called Phineas Gage. All of those are really fascinating things that we have from the past. And the most recent stuff we've got so far seems to continue to point in that direction in a really, really hardcore way, man. So like, I get that it's a little bit weird when we talk about, again, like love, happiness, you can't give me a cup of happiness. Right? It's like, yeah, I get you, man. But it is all this thing that is a subset under material stuff. All of the material stuff has to be there. We got to have the vocal cords. You got to have the eardrum. You got to have the medium for it to vibrate. I know I said a bunch. I know I rambled a little. I apologize, Rev. I'm going to give you a second to say some stuff back, but go ahead.
All right. So actually, egregores or egregori, most of the time they do have multiple people involved, like a seance. You could even call it like an orgy, an egregore. But there's not just the people that are there. There are invisible entities like we were talking about. And
I don't feel like you listened to what I said.
No, he didn't. Also, I'm very intrigued by an orgy of poltergeists. Like, can you, like, after seeing the Poltergeist movie, like, I feel like that is just a horror show.
It's not good.
Like,
think about it from the perspective of ghosts, though. If you think about it from that movie, like, that could be a good one. You could do all right with that. That's like Demi Moore and shit, man. You kidding it? No, Rev, I don't really feel like you were listening to me at all. I know I kind of ramble and my voice is not particularly fun to listen to, but I really do feel like I gave at least a decent response to the idea that, like, non-physical things like, thoughts or memory or whatever. I thought I gave a decent response to, hey, those actually are rooted in material shit. So any thoughts on that, man? Whether they're physical or not.
So what I'm saying is that these non-physical entities require physical things most of the time, right? It requires multiple people to come together to perform something to create these non-physical entities. That's how most of them exist. All right, but if you look at the company like
but you have yet to point out anything that's actually non-physical.
Right. We still
you're just claiming the non-physical. See, this is the problem with all of the callers today there, Van Kush, is that you're talking about things without actually substantiate, like you're making claims without substantiating these claims. So like you have yet to give us something that's non-physical. And I'm just because I know that you say poltergeist and all this other stuff. We haven't proven poltergeist or this egregori orgies. We haven't been able to, there's nothing that substantiates those things. If you cannot detect something in reality, does that mean that thing actually exists in reality?
Well, okay, so the example given was memory, right? So memory is one. Most of these are thought forms.
No, memory is a physical process. Like it's something that's contained in your brain. It's the physical structure of your brain controls like memories. Like there's a whole physical process for like converting short-term memory to long-term memory. Memory itself is stored in your in brain cells in different different ways, and it's accessed through chemical processes. So all of that's very, very like physical, or it's emergent from physical processes and physical structures. So like you need something better, I guess is my point.
Okay, well, if I store a physical memory onto stone, and then somebody reads it 2,000 years later, and that memory is released by being, through that person reading it in their brain.
What the fuck does this mean?
Yeah, you're using some of those words incorrectly. Okay, you are not storing memory. When you take a rock and you scratch another rock with it, and you put symbols on that you and your tribe understands, and then 1,000 fucking years, some other tribe digs that shit up and tries to read it, you're not storing memory on the rock, right? That's a really poetic and flowery way to say it, because we as people love poetic and flowery things, right? But that is not actually what's happening there, right? What you're doing is you're making an indention in the rock, right? You're transferring maybe some of the quartz crystalline structure onto some other blah, blah, whatever, fuck it, right? But you're not storing memory in that same capacity, right? And same thing with a computer. Like when you are actually storing memory on a computer, that's physical as fuck, man. I mean, just like GE was saying with memory, the reason why I brought up memory is because it's often used in this same category where people say, oh, you can't point to it in the brain. There's no physical correlation. But as we continue to study that shit, we absolutely seem to find it seems to really, really involve the physical shit. And all the time we get this, man. Every single time we get this where somebody comes on and says, man, I agree, there is physical stuff. It's out there. You see it, I see it, we all interact with it. But then there's this extra shit, and that's what we are interested in. That's what John and I want to know about. If you've got a good reason to believe in that extra stuff, help us out. Like, show us the non-physical things. But so far, every single time, and this isn't just you, Reverend, this is everybody today. So far, we're not getting anything. So help us see what we are missing, right? How do we detect these egregori things? How do we know that something is non-physical?
Okay, so how do you know something non-physical? I mean, it's the same as words and stuff. I mean, you can't see it, and it's there.
But you can't see. Hold up, but you can't see like diseases, and they're there. You can't see germs, and they're there, right?
Also, if you really wanted to get pedantic about words and everything like that, and you're not talking about the thoughts, the emergent thoughts that are are represented by these words, if you're talking about the physical process of words and processing words, that's literally just pressure waves in the air, pressure waves in a fluid medium that is traveling to your eardrums, which then convert those pressure waves into something that is supposed to make sense to your brain. And some people's brains have problems processing auditorily. Like me, sometimes I have problems with auditory processing, and sometimes it takes me a second to really understand what somebody is saying. So like this is all a very physical process, and just because like the whole like ideas in general are more emergent properties of a complex central nervous system, that doesn't detract from the physical nature and the physical grounding of these things.
Well, they do have to have some kind of physical thing, because like, okay, if the sun didn't exist, if Mars didn't exist, if Jupiter didn't exist, then we wouldn't have those to ground those things on. There is always some kind of physical thing. And as I was saying with the orgies and the seances, there's between people, right?
So hang on though. Hang on. The reason I'm jumping in is because, I mean, I'm just laughing about the orgies thing. I just 69 days left for the Bat Cruise, folks. Anyway, here's the thing. When you tell me that these non-physical things, when you tell me these non-material things have to have a grounding in the material and the physical stuff, this is where you lose me, man. Because this is where I feel like I'm getting told that the ice cream sundae in front of me is shit because it doesn't have magic sprinkles. And the other person is telling me that their ice cream sundae has magic sprinkles, but I'm looking back and forth at our fucking cups and they look exactly the same. And so this is where I'm at again. You're saying to me, no, you don't understand. The ghosts have to have a correlation to the physical realm. And I'm like, okay, well, so then show me the ghost. If you're telling me that these egregori have to be connected to a fucking moon or a bunch of people getting it on late in a Friday night or whatever, like if that's the case, then all you have to do now is show me where's the ghost. Like, where is it in all of this? Is it between somebody's butt cheeks? Is it somewhere in the cum? Just help me out, man.
It's the creator. There is a creator of all of it. We're speaking about a creation, and that's where that's at. We're talking about a creation.
Okay. So Van Kush, I'm going to propose that this creator is actually an invisible pink unicorn. That's an idea that's been floated around. How would you refute me in just ad hoc stating that this creator that you're talking about that loves orgies and all that kind of stuff isn't just some kind of sadistic pink unicorn that likes to violate people in their sleep, like it was a scene from Ghostbusters?
Well, first off, because you can't see it, and God did tell David that his son was going to have sex with all his wives, and then God had his son have sex with all his wives because of what he had done. All right, so it's not like it's outside of the.
Don't know what that point.
What does that have to do with anything?
I have no idea, Reverend, why that point was brought up, man. I don't feel like it's.
God said he was gonna fuck all your women, and guess what? He did it.
Look,
God exists.
Back to what GE was asking. If he says to you, just same words, the exact same sentence and thought that you just said to us, the only thing that he changes is God to a invisible pink unicorn. I mean, like, what do you say to that, man? Like, what's your response?
Because you can't see it. You can't say it's an invisible pink unicorn if we haven't seen the invisible pink unicorn. I'm saying it's an invisible, not pink unicorn. And I mean, maybe it is a pink unicorn, but
right. And you're just claiming another yet invisible fucking thing that you cannot actually refute me and saying that it's an invisible pink unicorn. You don't know. These egregori, while they're sitting there fucking each other, could really just be pink unicorns fucking each other. Right. Could they not?
I mean, they're not pink because they're invisible, right? So what is like?
Hang on, Reverend. Look. This is not the first time this has happened today, okay? But twice today, a caller was asked a question, and their response focused on the thing that was not at all important in the question. Okay, the fucking color of the unicorns, okay, is not the thing that John is talking about. That is not what matters here. Like, fuck them, man. I don't give a shit what color they are. The point, the reason that he brought that up is all of us are in the same boat when it comes to ad hoc assertions. We can pull them out of our asses for eternity, but there is nothing behind any one of them to back them up. And it is just as simple as us going, yeah, that doesn't have any good reason for me to believe that. And it's done. It's over. If that is all that is backing up your belief, please, Reverend, please get a better theology. Get more evidence. What?
Have you heard of an oracle before? Have you heard of an oracle?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Okay. An oracle is not a person. An oracle is when egregori come together with groups of people and create a larger entity called an oracle now, right? It's no longer just one egregore.
Why?
Several egregori.
Why do you accept that is the case? When I think about an oracle, what I think is that an individual incorrectly attributes certain experiences in their lives to them having the ability to channel the divine or transcendence or spirits or whatever. I think those people are wrong. And I believe I can demonstrate that to you.
But what about
hang on just a second. I just want to lay out my position. Now you know where I'm at, and I am offering you the chance for me to demonstrate that position to you. But what I'd really love, since you brought it up first, is if you would go first, Rev, and tell me why you believe that an oracle is a person, a vessel, that a bunch of egregori came together and is now working through them. Why do you think that? What's the reasoning?
That's not what I said. An oracle is more like a chessboard or a Ouija board. An oracle is like a chessboard or a Ouija board where there are several people and it all comes together to create an answer.
Right. Why do you think that?
Because that's how human society and everything works. I mean, that's how civilization's only been around for like 6,000 years, and it's because of this.
If GE said to you, he believes that actually what's going on is pink unicorns are fucking each other when people are playing with Ouija boards, and their jizz is what causes, their magic jizz is what causes the thing to move. And then he responded when you said, hey, why do you think that, John? And he responded with, because that's just the way the world works. On a scale of not at all to fuck yeah, how satisfied are you with that answer, man? Like, there's no way it's very high.
But that's like me saying you know what I mean? Like atheists, they can go talk about what they don't believe in, and how are you supposed to have a discussion with each other about religion if you all just say that you don't believe in things? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't think that is a response to anything that I have said today at all, Rev. Not even with other fucking callers, which I'm not expecting you to watch the whole show, but I am expecting you to follow along with the discussion that you're trying to have. So I'm going to back up just a second. Hang on just a second, Rev. You've been doing great this whole time. So we're going to go back just a second. Okay. And I'm going to say it again, which is, if GE says to you, the reason that Ouija boards work, the reason that magic crystals or whatever it is, the reason that those things work is because of invisible unicorns fucking each other. And then you say, hey, why do you believe that? And he says, that's just the way the world is, man. Like, that's what brought all of civilization to this point in time. Are you satisfied with that answer? Do you feel like GE has a robust reason for his belief?
If he's going to say like the Titan Phoebe was an invisible pink unicorn, maybe he could say that, but he's just like, now he's giving it a physical limitation and he's giving it a color, right? So like, and how is this invisible thing given a physical limitation and a color?
Rev,
it's supposed to be invisible, and it's supposed to be
color,
the encompassing thing.
The color is definitively not the most important part of that discussion. I believe, Rev,
I'm talking about
that you have, hold on just a second. Hang on just a second, because I'm going to rudely drop you right after this. I believe you have better reasons. I believe you have thought about this more than what you have presented today. I really do. I think that you have in your head, whether it is physical or not, you have thoughts and memories and arguments that you can bring. And I think you can do a better job. And I would love to hear from you in the future, because I think the arguments you've brought today are really unsatisfying. And I don't think you'd be satisfied with them. That's the whole point.